Some stories are written on paper, others are written in the hearts of people. But the greatest stories are written by the hand of God Himself. This is the story of a young orphan girl in a foreign land who rose to the throne of the greatest empire of her time, not by chance, but by divine appointment. The story of Esther, a story that reminds us God can take the least likely person in the most unlikely place and use them to change the course of history.
The Persian Empire, vast, powerful, unstoppable. At its heart was King Xerxes, a man of wealth and authority. But even in palaces of gold, human pride and politics play their game. When Queen Vashti refused to obey the king's command, she was banished, and the throne beside the king stood empty. A royal decree went out across the empire, a search for a new queen.
Among the many women brought to the palace was Esther, a Jewish orphan, raised by her cousin Mordecai. She had no royal title, no political power, just a gentle spirit, a beautiful face, and a heart that feared God.
She didn't strive to impress with her own strength, but with grace, humility, and wisdom. And the God who saw her long before she entered the palace was positioning her for a purpose far beyond her own imagination.
When King Xerxes looked upon Esther, he found more than outward beauty, he found favor. And the crown was placed upon her head. But in heaven's eyes, she had already been chosen for a mission she could not yet see.
Sometimes God places us in positions not for comfort, but for calling.
In the shadows, hatred was brewing. Haman, the king's advisor, was enraged when Mordecai would not bow to him. His anger spread like poison, and he plotted not just against Mordecai, but against every Jew in the empire.
A decree was sealed, death for God's people. On a single day, every Jewish man, woman, and child would be destroyed.
To human eyes it seemed hopeless, but to God it was just the setup for a miracle.
Mordecai's message was clear: do not think that because you are in the king's house you alone will escape. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Esther was faced with a choice: risk her life to speak, or stay silent and watch her people perish. Courage is born when faith becomes more important than fear.
For 3 days Esther fasted and prayed, surrendering her fear to the God who holds the hearts of kings. And then she made her choice. I will go to the king, and if I perish, I perish.
True bravery is not in the absence of fear, it's in the decision to stand, even while your knees shake.
God moved in ways only He could. The king listened, the truth was revealed, Haman's plot crumbled, and the very gallows he built for Mordecai became his own undoing. God's justice is sure, and His timing is perfect.
Esther's story is not just history, it's a mirror for our lives. We too are placed in specific moments, jobs, families, and situations, for reasons we may not yet see.
And when fear whispers, remember, the God who placed you there will stand with you there.
You are here for such a time as this.
If Esther's story has touched your heart today, remember, God is still writing stories like this, in our time, in our world, and even in your life. Here on this channel, we share more stories of faith, courage, and hope from God's Word, to strengthen your walk, and remind you that you are never alone. So if you want to keep your heart anchored in truth and your faith burning bright,